Welcome to So Bad It's Good Patreon edition. We are doing Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 2 Ex-Wives Club over at the old BSM, the old Bluestone Manor, not to be confused with BDSM. Folks, I am recording this for video as well, so you can see me if you're watching this. You'll see my beautiful Jen Shaw picture back here in celebration of Jen Shaw's change of heart, that she's guilty. And we talk all about that on the podcast today. This is Patreon, but I think this might also go up on YouTube at some point. So we can get more people over to the Patreon because we're having a party over here. In fact, I talked to one of the Patreon baddies today. I did a podcast with her, Caitlin Irving, and she was awesome. We talked about 90 Day Fiance. We talked about music. I mean, I'm so in love with this certain period of time of music, like the early 2000s. I mean, I guess that's, it's like that period of time. There's a period of 5-year time in music where each person, it changes for each person, but it's like where you left your heart, where when music was still everything and you're kind of cemented in that, like Frozen and Carbonite, like Han Solo and at the end of Empire Strikes Back. Folks, let's get into this because it is just Ultimate Girls Trip is truly a gift. Like I don't want to hear anybody speak negatively about it anymore. Like, listen, this is a treat. This is a treat. We've earned this treat, but it's a treat nonetheless. And I do not want it to go away. Now, season 3, we talked about on Monday's podcast with Sophie Ross about the cast members in that. And listen, you got Heather Gay and you got Whitney. Supposedly they started filming yesterday. So Heather and Whitney allegedly found out that Jen Shaw changed her plea yesterday together. Now, I do have to imagine that I'm hoping Heather was told, and I hope the whole cast was told she was changing to a guilty plea more than a week ago. Like, that would be so weird to me. I don't know. So I played a clip on today's main feed pod from Heather Gay when she was on this show before she unfollowed me on Instagram. She must really, truly love Jen Shaw, which is fine. So her and Whitney are going to be there. And then you have Giselle and Candace from Potomac. Interesting. Why not Giselle and Robin? Like, they seem like they're such buddy. Because you have Heather and Whitney, you have bad weather. Why not Giselle and Robin? But regardless, it'll be exciting to see both of them. And then you have Marisol and Alexia from Miami. And listen, at this point, we need to get Miami out there as much as possible. We need to get people to know these ladies. It's an amazing Housewives franchise. I just want more people to know about it. So that might not sound exciting if you're not a fan of Miami, but these ladies are really fun. They get into it. I'm really excited to see them. And then who was the other two? We don't have anybody from Beverly Hills this season, which sucks. I'm praying to God Sutton every time I watch at Bluestone Manor, I'm like, Sutton would have killed it here. Don't you want to see her with new ladies? I truly want to see her with other people that aren't Erica and Kyle and Rinna. And I wanted to see how magical she is. Come on. But I just think it's Sutton watching Dorinda get hammered. I would love that. I just think there were just so many possibilities. So Sutton's got to go on one of these things down the line. Who else? Okay, then we got Leah McSweeney and Tinsley Mortimer. Now, Leah is, I'll be honest with you guys. This is Patreon, so I'll be like, Leah is so weird. She follows me on Instagram. I've asked her to come on the podcast many times. She does literally every other podcast. I notice a lot of them aren't Bravo. They're kind of like hipster, cool people, like streetwear pods. And I'm like, who does Brielle have to blow for Leah to come on my show? Like, in fact, when I get tipsy, I'll sometimes go into her DM and go, come on my show already. And she'll be like, LOL. And I'm like, what does that even mean? I think I'm one of the only people that read your book. Like, what are you talking about? Come on the show. It could have something to do with when she first came on the first season. There was a lot of memes I made and other people made that I said I wanted to marry her and be the and I was ready to be a dad. She had a daughter. Maybe that, I mean, that could be creepy. She doesn't know me. Okay, now I get it. Now I'm glad I talked this out loud. Now I realize why she isn't coming. But Tinsley Mortimer will be on this with Leah. And I got to tell you, I love Tinsley. I'm sorry, but wouldn't you love to have seen Tinsley with Dorinda? Because Dorinda was such an asshole to Tinsley in that last episode in the reunion of Tinsley and Dorinda's last season. It was just so dark. So that's going to be the cast. Also, I was talking to a friend today. I just love that all my conversations are like, I was talking to another friend about reality shows. All I do now is talk pop culture and reality. As a kid, I thought this would be my dream, but I literally, I'm having cold sweats now anytime I talk about something else normal because I don't know how to do it. So there was a show on the CW in 2010 called High Society. It was a reality show. Before Tinsley was ever on Roni, she was on High Society. And it was her mom, Dale, was a main character. Constantine Morales was on there, who's hooked up with the majority of the Roni cast. And it was truly delightful. I believe they were only half-hour episodes. Last time I checked a couple of years ago, I found them all on YouTube. And it's just great. It is just great. It is weirdly comedic and dark and all of those things. And it was, in the year 2000. So people are on their like or 2010. So people are on their flip phones and all the, old technology. But I highly recommend High Society. And Tinsley, it's just weird. It's like when she was the it girl that she talked about, or she was the it girl, and then she had the fall from grace after that with the mugshot, which we've famously seen. But her mom Dale is just magic. I was talking to somebody, I was talking to the same person actually, but wouldn't you love to see an Ultimate Girls Trip mom edition? You have Dale, Tinsley's mom. You have what's her name from Dallas with the wig. I mean, beautiful wig, but Deandra's mom. You have her on there. You can have Mama Joyce. You can have, there's so many different possibilities because some of the mothers on these shows are more entertaining than their actual daughter counterparts. I'm trying to think, like even Bronwyn from OC, her mom was all wacky with the colored braids and stuff. Just put all the moms into a house. I mean, I would love to see that because they deserve camera time. I mean, we always talk about these ladies not being on the show anymore and how it must affect them. But think about the poor moms. They deserve. Come on, put the moms back on Bravo, or make it like just open to general family members. Family members that have inspired. I mean, of course, the house husbands, which I think is actually in development, if not just for Jersey, but you could open it up. I mean, you got Mauricio and PK. Like, you should do the Ultimate Girls Trip with guys, or do they not do that because Bravo should primarily focus on women? Who knows? But Ultimate Girls Trip season 3, episode 5 focuses all on women, and that stupid Marco, who I don't like. I don't like him as the manservant. That guy at the end of the 4th episode, Brandy was trying to take his shirt off, was like, "Earn your money, Marco," and like ripped off the shirt. And it was just like, okay, like, I want to know more about Marco's history. Why did he get chosen? Come on. I could think of 30 other possibilities for the Marco role. I mean, come on. And also at this point, they had in the 4th episode, remember, they were all dancing at the end, which, by the way, if you watch YouTube, I'm dancing. They had the burlesque dancer, that everybody was like, "You got a sick body." That was mainly Brandy. And then Tamra was stripping with her and stuff. You know what? Every time I see Tamra strip, I avert my eyes, not because she's not, attractive, because she is. It's just because she doesn't have a belly button. And I think you guys know, I don't know if you don't know that, look at her bodybuilding photos and she doesn't have a belly button. Like, she's one of those people that you've read about without the belly buttons. And it always scared me. I don't know if I already mentioned this in one of the earlier episodes about Ultimate Girls Trip. I do so many of these now, I forget what I say, but it was one of the worst moments of my life. It was like the 3rd or 4th episode of this podcast, like 2.5 years ago, or maybe even longer at this point. And and I had a sex dream about Tamara Barney, and I felt so bad. Like I was like, because like there was part of me that was like, oh, I think I like this. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, I don't, like, what's wrong with me? Fix it, Jesus, all of that stuff. So maybe that's why. But okay, I do want to talk a little bit more about Tamara, because Tamara is one of those people that dishes it out really hard. Like she'll talk shit behind your back. She'll, she's coming off more sane because she's around Vicky in a room, and she's always going to be the more sane one of the two. But Tamara will then, if she doesn't know how to get out of a situation, she'll cry. Now, Dorinda, of course, is being very horrible for being like the head of BSM, Bluestone Manor, but she literally, Tamara started crying because she didn't know how to deal with Dorinda's craziness. And then Dorinda was like, fuck it, I'll out crazy you. And she started crying right back. All this because Vicky was eating some yogurt in her bedroom. But listen, I bet they won't do it again. I bet they won't do it again. So this is episode 5. And this one, you guys, is called The Ultimate Thirst. Now, we've done the first 4 on Patreon already. The 6th episode will come out on Thursday. And I'm going to try to get that done on Thursday for you guys, because I'm going to go see my parents this weekend. It's my mom's birthday. God, she's going to be 73. Am I allowed to tell my mom's age? Is that illegal? My mom, well, this is behind a paywall, so I don't know. Just don't tell my mom I told you guys her age. I don't think she would dig that, but wild. So I'm going to see them, try to make her feel special, try to, like, so it's good. And she's already excited, when you get that couple days before texts from your family, if you're lucky enough to have your family still intact, and they start like, so excited, what do you want to eat? Do you want me to make lasagna? Right now it's 115 degrees in Arizona, by the way. I find that interesting. So it's like, do you want lasagna? What do you want? And it's just really cool. I never know what I want, because with my mom, it's like, yeah, man, whatever you want to make me is always good. It's like when you eat your mom's food, it's always good. I don't know, like my mom, but it is funny over the years. I remember my ex, my mom, makes a lasagna, but listen, I love my mom's cooking, but my mom's lasagna was like lasagna from Ohio. She and so that's how I learned about lasagna. Like I was like, this is good, man. I'm like, we lived in Kansas most of my life, and I was like, this is great lasagna. And then my ex-wife, sorry, her family's like Italian, like all these generations, and they really, like, the dad took pride in the sauce. It was a secret recipe he wouldn't give out to anybody. And she made a lasagna that I was like, holy shit, like this is and her sauce, you put like brajioles and all these meats in the sauce, truly incredible. And I think that's why I was having flashbacks last week when they had the lasagna bake off. But I remember my mom, and this was, my mom and my ex did kind of have a headbutting thing, because they both think they know they both think they're always right. And so when you get 2 people together that always think they're right, and then one of the people does something that the other one thinks is wrong, you just never hear the end of it. But my ex busted out a lasagna. It was amazing. And then I did it in front of my dad and my mom, and we're all eating it, and we're like, damn, this is good. And my mom's like, it's okay. It's okay. It's you know what? I prefer more dry. I'll tell you that. I prefer more dry. So do you guys do that? You ever get scared of food that your family makes that other people make, and you want to assure your family that they're still the winner of any food contest because you feel like that's necessary for them? Anywho, getting way off track as per usual. Called The Ultimate Thirst. And we always want to take the title and try to derive what the show will be about from the title. So when I hear thirst, I think somebody's thirsty, somebody wants a drink. But in Housewives shows and on Twitter, everybody's called thirsty, because thirsty, or somebody that's thirsty, is somebody that's desperate for attention, somebody that needs it all. I need the light to shine on me. And obviously you're going to think Jill Zarin, right? You're going to think of Jill Zarin because it's almost a little bit of a joke that Jill Zarin is the thirsty one. Now, I do want to point out, though, that every one of these ladies, there's a thirst element too. The only person that kind of seems just dope is Eva. Like she just doesn't, like she just does her thing and you automatically just think she's awesome. Like Phaedra, as much as I'm in love with her, you could still say there's a little thirst there because she likes to get in her little comments. Now, I think that's purely natural, but some could, I don't, some could classify that as a light thirsting, a light thirsting. I do not. But Jill has always been made fun of as the most thirsty, the most. She was the one that wanted on the show back on the show the most. But I don't think like you could argue that Brandy 2 seasons ago when she showed up for the Denise Richards storylines multiple times, I thought that was thirsty. Rinna, well, we're not talking about Rinna, but Brandy was thirsty. Dorinda, there was a thirst after I believe she got put on pause. I think that thirst happened. Tamra always feels thirsty. At least she's found an outlet with the podcast. But these things, they go and you kind of see a whole new. It's like one thing when they're on the show and they have these attributes and you might like some and you might hate some, but then when they get off the show, almost the true test of character starts, right? It's like the real, like, oh, let's see who she really is. Because once you get that spotlight taken away, by the way, it must be the sweetest spotlight ever. Even thinking about Jen Shaw, like, why would you do this knowing that you're a criminal? Why? Like, are you that ballsy? Do you need it that much that you're like, yes, I need to do a show, even though I'm funneling millions of dollars through offshore accounts, allegedly? When are we allowed to stop saying allegedly? She admitted to guilt. Like we're allowed to say allegedly. Like is allegedly and allegedly, or we just like that's what she did? So I think that most of these women have thirst in their lives. I don't think it's fair to call Jill the thirstiest. I just feel like Jill's been around long enough where she's the one that's like, and she's been off the show long enough where she always gets that kind of moniker. So the description of this from Peacock says, Jill and Dorinda continue their feud as a trip to the Red Lion Inn turns chaotic. Can we write a more general description? Like shit, I read you the Beverly Hills one last week. It was like I felt like it was like a fucking book. Like I needed a bibliography or something. This is just like Jill and Dorinda continue their feud because remember, last episode at the very end, Jill and Dorinda or Slorinda or Dornado they're in a fight, and Dorinda was saying nasty things like, I was here for your funeral, and then when you wanted to date your new guy the next day, I said, yeah, let's do it. She was, and Jill was like, fine, I gotta go to bed. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And you really felt for Jill. I do want to impress upon that so much is that it really takes a lot. Like, I mean, I got to talk with Jill Zarin on the podcast like 6 or 7 months, a while back. And I came away with just what a sweet person she was. And also that this is really Jill Zarin. Like she's just like this. And when somebody's just like this, it's different than somebody just trying to be potentially annoying or something like that. She's like this. And I think she does genuinely care about people, but she also cares about herself. And I think she thinks she's awesome. And listen, I don't think I'm awesome. It would be something I'm working towards that, but I don't know. Like it should be celebrated a little bit. If you have confidence, hell yeah, just don't go crazy with it. So they take this field trip to the Red Lion Inn and it turns chaotic. And I'm like, well, that could just mean anything. So we start off, you hear an engine whirring, and it says 8:15 a.m. Bluestone Manor. Dorinda's property gets eerier and creepier each time it's like Downton Abbey. If Downton Abbey, the actual building was a zombie. And we see Dorinda wake up and she goes, good old fashioned Alka-Seltzer never let me down. And I'm just like, oh man, that's so vivid. It's like Dorinda has tummy problems. You're just like, rip, like plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Because Dorinda, by the end of the night gets slurry. She likes her martinis. And by the way, listen, maybe we should get Dorinda maybe onto some White Claws or Trulies, like maybe like a hard seltzer or something, because martinis will fuck you up, man. And once you have one, you got to have two. I mean, they fuck you up. You know what doesn't fuck you up? Seltzers. It's a mangina drink. I drink it all the time. I mean, not all the time, but when I do drink, I'll go for a seltzer, like I'm not, but martinis are for special occasions, I feel, and when I can afford a meal out. And it's just, and for Dorinda, it's like a water cooler. Like there's an endless supply of martinis every time Dorinda's on screen. So Dorinda's got the shits, maybe she's taking out some seltzer to calm her, tummy down. But like I said last recap, she is just the Energizer Bunny. Once she opens her eyes, she is go, go, go. She needs the Alka Seltzer. She needs it because she's got things to do. And for me, I would just lay in bed and just like moan like Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off of like, oh, when Cameron was in English land, oh, take thy Cameron home. Ferris Bueller's Day Off still holds up, you guys. So Jill Zarin is in a confessional. Remember, the confessional looks like it's in Dorinda's attic, and they put the Klieg lights right on the face, so it just looks washed out. And I always feel like, whoever's in there is like close to getting waterboarded. It just feels like there's like, tell me your name and rank. Jill in the confessional says, I feel like everyone can hear me. Can we close the door? Can we close the door in here, please? Because last night she went in the confessional and everybody came in, including Dorinda, and it just started World War III again. Dorinda is downstairs. Remember, with these, it's so hard to take notes because they cut from scene to scene to scene and back to scene to scene to scene. Dorinda is down there with Alka-Seltzer. She's like, Marco, running a little slow today. And he's like, yeah. We go back to Jill and she's like, someone needs to stand at the door. The ladies busted in last night. They busted in. And we get a flashback to them busting in, because remember, Bravo always loves to show, not tell. They love to tell and show. Like, we got told, and they're like, well, this doesn't hold up in court. Let's show them as well. So we get that flashback. And Jill's like, there's underlying tension, a little bit of history was brought up last night. I didn't bring it up. Dorinda brought it up. Jill, of course, has been meaning to have this conversation with Dorinda, but Dorinda out of nowhere started bringing up, like, do you know how long me and Jill have been friends? Do you know how long? And Jill had just said earlier that day that Dorinda hasn't been that great of a friend of her, and they haven't been close, is that she not took pity, but she cared about her because she had heard she was a widow. So she had started trying to invite Dorinda out to things. So we get a flashback to Dorinda going, I supported you when Bobby died. I was at the funeral and you were dating Gary 2 weeks after, and I supported it. I mean, that is dark, dude. First off, we always do these housewives rules that we never follow, like don't talk about the husbands, but like another one, good one should be don't talk about the dead husbands. And then like to bring up on camera, you dating your new dude, Gary, 2 weeks after Bobby died. What the hell, man? Life is hard and long. I truly don't feel like Jill was doing that mischievously or deceitfully. I feel like Jill was doing that because sometimes when you lose somebody that you love so much, you can't possibly go, you need a pulse next to you. You need something else. And I'm not saying that their love, Gary and Jill's, is not valid, but sometimes you just can't face things alone. And you need somebody there. Like I said, I'm not saying he's a bad guy at all. I'm not saying he's like a Louis with Teresa. I'm just saying sometimes you got to let people, you got to forget, you got to forgive people those kind of things. Because with Jill, I just think if she didn't have somebody, whether it be Gary or somebody else, it would have gotten really, really dark. So I sometimes think it's almost like a lifeline, trying to keep going. Marco tells Dorinda, we switched on the cold air for the air balloon to function outside. We're putting the air into the air balloon. That's right, folks. These ladies are going up into an air balloon. It's 8:15 in the morning. They're going over the schedule, Dorinda and Marco, and it's like, okay, we need to move some things around. We had breakfast at 8:45. We'll push that to 9:45 so you can do the balloon right now. And Dorinda's like, let the girls know, would you? And Marco's like, right away, miss, right away. Jill says, someone needs to be the voice of reason. It is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs here, anymore. I don't want to be the bad guy anymore. I don't want to be the bad guy anymore. And that's when we start with the theme. Dun, 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 dun. And unfortunately, I had to listen to the whole theme because the remote was past my arm. Do you ever think about that? If you had powers to like pull things to your hand, I would just use it for stupid shit, like when the remote's across the room. Like I would never probably use it for good. I would use it to get like a Diet Coke out of the fridge when I didn't want to get up, you know? Um, so so we come back from the theme, and we have Taylor, Phaedra, Vicky, Brandy, Dorinda, Jill, Ava. You know, everybody is there. You see the Berkshires green outside. And Eva, remember, can only say hi because she is doing her radio show from 6 to 10 every day. And that's what really started the Jill fight, because Jill was like, can I sit in your bed and watch you? Can I watch you talking to the microphone? Can I be on it? Can I do it? Can I be on it? And Dorinda's like, come on, Jill, it's thirsty. Jill, just cut it already. It is hard to take advice from somebody that is potentially drunker than you and has a lot of issues. That's what the hard thing about this is Dorinda, by default, having this be Bluestone Manor and her place of residence, she almost gets put in this position of I'm number one, so I get to say what is right and what is wrong. So we see Eva doing her radio show, like, hey, good morning. We are the Monday morning. How you feeling? Then we go to Vicky. She's still asleep in her bed. Vicky is asleep. It's like a quiet lion, like a lioness, you know, she's just ready to pounce. Dorinda is like, you know what? I need to find out how many people can fit in this balloon, the hot air balloon. Dorinda goes, you know what? I hope this hot air balloon can lift our spirits literally and physically, because she's like, oh, it'll rise into the air. Phaedra asks Marco, you know, you have a steamer? I want to steam my clothes. Tamara says to Vicky upstairs, you have to make your bed or we're going to get in trouble. Which, by the way, maybe Dorinda freaking out on them, like, got a little hustle in these ladies. We're not going to all just shit with the door open in our bed. You know, like, let's start acting like this is somebody else's house. Taylor and Brandy see the balloon and they're just shocked. They're like, what? A hot air balloon? And then Jill sees the balloon and she's like, the balloon waits for no one. Everybody, Bluestone Manor, let's go. Nobody has ever been in a hot air balloon there. A lot of them are just hot air balloons themselves. We find out, though, this is a pussy hot air balloon because it's only it's tethered. They're only going to be allowed to go 500 feet. It is like tied to the ground, which is like, what is the conversation there? Because, man, wouldn't you fucking love to see a hot air balloon just on the loose with like Vicky and Tamara, you know, like what an interesting, like, just, we lost them there. They might be in another state by now. They just keep going in the air and Vicky like, I can't take it. Let me out. I would love that, but they're tied. This is like riding a bicycle with training wheels. Let them do the full balloon experience, but they don't. Brandy says, well, I'm afraid of heights. I'm not doing this. I have kids. I saw it once on TMZ and I'm not doing it. And she's like, I don't need to risk my life. Eva's not going to do it because she's doing the radio show. Marco's out there. And Brandy's like, you're wearing a shirt today, Marco, after Brandy tore it off last night. Vicky finally comes outside and Jill says, can someone tell me about the elephant in the room? Can somebody tell me about the elephant in the room? And Jill goes, Dorinda, she's got no recollection of the damage she did to me last night. She didn't talk to me this morning. She didn't say, let's talk later, you know, and I would appreciate if one of you ladies brings it up. I would appreciate it. And friend, Phaedra goes, you know, I'm going to call Dorinda Little Mike Tyson. I don't think she's going to bite your ears off, but she is Little Mike Tyson. She faces everything. Dorinda is just walking around going, pretty, pretty picture, pretty, pretty picture, which if that was Countess Luann saying that, you know, it would be a hit song the next season. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Countess and her pretty, pretty picture. So we are getting on the hot air balloon. You know, it's foggy. Tamara is a little scared. So Dorinda, we have this little scene where, you know, we all of a sudden we're a nature show because we spot a little tiny frog and everybody's like, oh my God, a frog. Oh my God. And Tamara's like, I'm going to help the frog escape. And they're just frog antics. And then Dorinda just grabs the frog and like puts it away. And while Dorinda is putting it away on the grass, the frog pees on Dorinda's hand, which is just amazing. What if she was like, oh, that's Richard. It's like red balloons and frog pee. Like, ooh, I always know when Richard close. It's a red balloon and a frog will piss on your hand. Jill says, oh my God, the frog is peeing. Oh my God, the frog doesn't like Dorinda. The frog's offended for me. Like, I'm like, okay, Jill. Jill now is talking to Taylor Armstrong, and they're talking about going on the air balloon and if it's safe. And also Jill is saying, I haven't talked to Dorinda yet. I don't know what's going on. And Dorinda walks by and goes, hey, we can talk now, Jill. We can talk now. And Jill goes, okay, well, do you remember last night? And she's like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. You were saying you wanted to be on Eva's show. And you said, then can I lay on the bed while you do your show? And I just thought it was a little thirsty. And Jill goes, oh, well, I don't think so. I'd like to hear her opinion, Eva's. You know what? I would want to hear everyone's opinion, and Dorinda's like, she's clearly giving you a message, Jill, that she doesn't want you in there. It's a little thirsty. And Tamara goes, she's a little thirsty in regards to Dorinda. Taylor says, if you know Jill, that's just Jill, it's a radio show. Take a breath. Who cares? And Jill says, why are you so mean about it, Dorinda? Why are you so mean about it? And Dorinda says, I don't have this problem with anyone else, which is just not true. Which I was like, oh shit, here we go. Flashback time. And we get a flashback of all Dorinda going, oh, you heard it on the internet? Oh, the internet. And then the fight with Vicky from 2 episodes ago. Don't put the fucking food in my bedroom. Is that good enough for you? We cut then to Dorinda telling Phaedra, oh, Jill, she wants to talk about it again. So let's get it out. You're obviously very upset about it. Dorinda says, and then you started crying, Jill. You started crying, and she's laughing about it, which is just the worst. It's, a good piece of advice. If you want to upset somebody, laugh. When you're talking about somebody else crying, laugh when you do it. It really is a nice, really kind of just makes them feel worse. And Vicky says, I don't think she knows how to be nice. Her book is called Make It Nice. It should be called Make It Not Nice. And I was like, Vicky, thank you for playing. That was a very good suggestion for a book change title, And Dorinda goes, you think I'm not nice? Well, I think you overreact. And Jill goes, okay. And Phaedra's like, I'm going to go change my wig to a brunette. I want to be a brunette. Phaedra focusing on something that's actually important. And Jill says, well, don't be surprised if I come out in one of Phaedra's wigs, everybody, which is kind of, in a way, a little bit of what she was doing with Eva of like, you're going to change into a wig? Could I change into a wig? Could I watch you change into a wig? And and then Phaedra's like, okay, yeah, Jill Zaranita. All right. Phaedra lets us know that she's like, I only recently started wearing units. Units is an appropriate name for a wig. I did it for a movie role, and I've been wearing them ever since. So she does come out as a brunette, and guess what? She looks hot. I love Phaedra. And Phaedra's like, give me 2 seconds. I'm a new lady. And Marco says, okay, ladies, they're ready for you. Brandy says, okay, well, don't, good luck up there. And Dorinda says, you're not going up. What do you care, Brandy? Daryl is the guy in charge of the hot air balloon. Dorinda gets in there and goes, straddle in, everybody. We have Dorinda, Phaedra, and Tamara in the first balloon ride. And, Phaedra does a little funny Phaedra face when she gets in the basket. All these ladies are big, like, they're like Charlie Chaplin. Phaedra's like, leaks. The balloon is just going up because it's tethered to the earth. But Dorinda says, it's not scary at all. It's beautiful. And then Dorinda jumps. Yeah, none of us saw it coming. She jumped. No, Dorinda just says it's beautiful. And Tamara goes, I like going up high, but I like to be tied down. I don't want to be floating into the atmosphere, not knowing where I'm going, which listen, I'm not a psychiatrist, therapist, or a dream doctor or something, but I feel like that's something, like that's tells us something about Tamara. I don't know what it is. Jill says, how great is it for Dorinda to see her house, to see her property from that vantage point. You know, it's got to be visually overwhelming. You know, it's got to be a feeling as a woman to hold on to this property. And Dorinda says, yeah, you know, it's unbelievable that I could do all of this without Richard. I didn't think I would be able to keep this property without Richard. So that is a nice moment. Remember, two things can be true at once. So we can be really frustrated with Dorinda and how she's treating people, but also there are moments like that where you're like, hell yeah, Dorinda, you did keep on. You are a woman and you did do those things. Phaedra says, being a thrill seeker, I want to go to a whole different state. So they're tethered to Bluestone Manor. They're coming back down to Earth. Yeah, because Phaedra's like, well, I want to go to a whole different state, but I'm tethered to Bluestone Manor. I'm coming down to Earth. Phaedra says, and I got this image, you guys, all of a sudden of like, it's very Stranger Things. So I've been watching it, but like the house won't let you leave. You know, like they're tethered to Bluestone Manor for life. Of like, I want to escape from Bluestone Manor in this hot air balloon, but the house won't let me leave. It keeps getting me back here. Like, think of it as a mystical property. I'm truly like, I think, don't you ever want Bravo to really like fucking just shoot for the moon and do like a horror movie with Bravo celebrities? I said that about the Cloverfield idea last week. You know, all of a sudden the Cloverfield monster hits Roni. But like, couldn't you imagine that at Bluestone Manor? Like, we have all of this stuff, but then we introduce a killer. Like, somebody's out there. And then later we find out it's Dorinda's ex, John Medesian, but he wears some kind of weird, like, robe or something that he was dry cleaning over his body, so we don't know until the very end. Of course this would be scripted. I'm not actually saying let's murder housewives. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be awesome if these ladies were good enough actors where we could start really playing with the format? So Vicky says it's scary, but it's not as scary as flying through the sky like Peter Pan. Vicky, are you up yet? What is going on? What does that even mean? It's not as scary as flying through the sky like Peter Pan. If you're fucking Peter Pan, you're not scared to fly through the sky because you're Peter Pan. Jill and Taylor are going up now, and Jill's like, so lush, so green. Taylor says, I'm scared. These ladies have their phones out, and I'm like afraid it's going to tip the basket, which also says a lot about Taylor. I mean, the simple thought of phones being out, of somebody reaching for their phone, Taylor's already like, oh, we're dying. It's going to flip over, which kind of sees, like, you can kind of see how Taylor goes through life like that potentially. Taylor's like, everybody remain still. Everybody's remain still. The girls that had already done the hot air balloon go back inside to have breakfast. The other girls come down, they come inside to have breakfast, and Phaedra's like, welcome back. Brandy tells Dorinda, hey, by the way, I don't think Jill is over it from last night. And Dorinda goes, no, we talked. And like, that's it. Okay, good. Vicky goes, oh, we're having pancakes. I haven't had pancakes with syrup in so long. She hasn't had pancakes in forever. That was a nice, fun Vicky Gunvalson fact. Eva comes down from the radio show. Dorinda says, Eva, I'm telling you, you would have loved it. It's like, what is the purpose when people do that shit? Like, do you think she was making up, working on her radio show? Like, Eva, you would, let me rub it in. Hey, Eva, this would have changed your life. Sorry, you had to work. So, Eva goes, nah, I don't play with heights. I don't play with airplanes. I'm not about that life. Jill and Ava are in the kitchen, and Jill is already going. She's like, she called me thirsty. She called me thirsty for wanting to sit on your bed and listen to your little radio show. And Brandy says, everyone knows Jill is thirsty, that she's the thirstiest human we know, which I think, Brandy, look into a mirror. Turn around every now and then. I look into the mirror and I see a Glanville. Ava goes, wow, thirsty is really a trigger word for Jill. And Jill goes, what do you think my intention was? To get a radio show, Eva? I wouldn't try to get a radio show like you. Come on. And Eva says, you wouldn't have even been able to hear me, which is so true. If you have headphones on and the other voice is coming from the computer, Jill would only hear Eva go, that's right. Great comment. Like, it is funny. Now I kind of want to see Jill in the bed listening to just stupid random things, because Jill would have made a meal out of it. She would have made a production. She would have been like, ha, ha, ha. Oh, Eva. She would have tried to bit overheard, like, ah. So they could ask, who's your friend in the background? Oh, it's me, Jill Zarin. So Eva says it's over. This whole thing is overblown. Why is it still going? But she said the Richard comment was wild in regards to bringing up the husband. And Eva said, I was just trying to get to bed. I was just trying to get some rest. And there was civil unrest going on. And then Vicky goes, psycho bitch came out 2-3 nights in a row. She means Dorinda is the psycho bitch. And then Phaedra goes, do you think Housewives affected your relationship? To Jill about Dorinda. And Jill says, not mine. It did Dorinda. She became a monster. I'm like, geez. And then Jill keeps going. She's like, I think a lot has to do with, with the drinking. The drinking, she can't allow anyone to be bigger than her. I don't know. But when she starts drinking, it's a different person. And she said, what she said last night, what she said last night about my boyfriend, it was so rude. And then she said her boyfriend, John Medessian, said he was thirsty, but the real thirsty person is Dorinda, Jill says. Dorinda, we see, is in her bedroom on her phone, just on her phone. We cut to Eva coming into Dorinda's room, and Eva goes, oh, no, sorry. Dorinda goes, I feel like you're the voice of reason in this house, Dorinda. Eva is still, really complimenting Dorinda a lot. And Eva goes, I don't like having conversations about someone without them here. So she's referring to all the crap that was being talked about Dorinda downstairs. And Dorinda goes, I'm trying really hard to make it nice. And then she winks at the camera because it's her catchphrase. No, she goes, I'm really trying hard to make it nice and perfect. And maybe I shouldn't give a shit. And Eva says, you know what? She needs to come in here and talk about it and talk about what she resents and, just clear this up. And listen, I agree too. Let's clear this up. And Dorinda says, you know what, with Jill, every year she tried to insert herself. Yeah. I guess I was told Jill wanted to do a scene with me months into filming. And then she was upset that I didn't film with her. And it's like, when I'm filming, all I think about is what I'm doing that night. Remember, Dorinda classifies herself as a Daniel Day-Lewis type performing artist when she gets into reality shows. She gets so deep within the Dorinda character that she cannot possibly hang out sometimes with other people because she's too deep in. And Dorinda's like, sorry, I didn't film with you, Jill. Jill is saying, the same story downstairs. Like, I texted Dorinda the moment I heard she was fired saying, I'm here for you. I love you. And then we cut to Vicky putting on makeup upstairs. And Tamara says, good idea to get out of menopause manor today. Let's have some drinks and food. It's almost like a haunted manor at this point, Tamara says, in regards to Bluestone Manor, because they're going in town. They're just going to go chill, have some drinks in town. We cut to Eva and Brandy. They're screaming, medic, medic. Ava, you guys, is bleeding all over because she broke a nail. And then Dorinda pops up and goes, well, I'm a medical doctor as well. I'm a wife, a mother, a lover, a friend, and now a nail healer. This is one of Dorinda's talking heads. I said last recap that Dorinda gives a little extra on her talking heads. And I don't always think it's a great thing. She'll always make big moves. It's always it reminds me all the time of when Erica Jane had that one season where she was like, I'm fucking rich. And then she had a little champagne glass and that's what it reminds me of. It's like too much. And I truly think Dorinda is writing some of her own lines. So we're driving into Great Barrington. They are at this place called Moon Cloud. Dorinda comes in and goes, hello, how are you? How are you? And the guy's like, we got beautiful cocktails today, and we also got beautiful cocktails on drafts. And Dorinda says, we're day drinking because we're a little tentative with each other right now. And Phaedra says, I'm crossing my fingers. This is a good idea today. Tamara doesn't want a sweet drink. She's a health nut. And Tamara says, I'm not really a good drinker. It's something me and Brandy have in common. Bum. We get a flashback to Tamara flashing her boobies last night without the nipple cover. Brandy in the talking head goes, Tamara is so fun. Isn't it always like that? Somebody has a different perception of their night than the other person. So they have a little table in the alley set up for them and their drinks. They all sit down. Phaedra says, Even though we're in an alleyway, the change of scenery is like a change of hearts. Dorinda says, okay, and after this, we're going to go back to the BSM and enjoy the pool. And Brandy goes, after we eat, don't go into don't swim 30 minutes until 30 minutes after you eat. We all learned that as kids. And Brandy goes, okay, question for the table. And everybody's like, oh, she's like, no, it's a fun question. It's a fun question. And then she goes, when was the last time you were in love? Which I'm like, is that fun per se? Taylor goes, that's a good question, Brandy. I am proud of you for that question because we were all kind of expecting, when's the last time you had anal sex? Phaedra goes, well, I think I'm in love now. And everybody's like, oh, and Dorinda's like, how did you meet him? And she's like, I can't tell you that, not on camera. Phaedra says, I'm a Scorpio. I'm a very private being. In public eye, it's hard to date. Who's being in it for real? Who's being in it for the fortune and the fame and the big booty? And Brandy's like, are you open to a relationship? Oh, no, sorry. Jill goes, Brandy, are you open to a relationship if I find you someone? And Brandy's like, yeah, I just want someone to push my wheelchair. Amazing. Vicky says, no one gets divorced from where I'm from, and I've been divorced now. And Dorinda goes, oh yeah, from the OC. And she goes, no, I'm from Chicago. And then they say, well, all these guys end up with someone 30 years younger than them anyways. And Vicky's like, I was twice dated. I was in 2 serious relationships. And Vicky says, I could have gotten married with Steve, but it ended. And Tamara goes, you're still in love with Brooks. And I was like, bling, bling, nipples hard. Brooks is brought into this conversation. Of course, Brooks Ayers, Vicky's love tank guru from many seasons ago, who then left in disgrace after faking cancer on a national television show. But he was Girth Brooks. Remember, he called himself Girth Brooks. And then Vicky's daughter was like, he's disgusting. But it's just so weird because I totally believe Tamara. Vicky is in love with Brooks, wants to have all of Brooks's babies. And Vicky goes, there was a lot of sexual chemistry there. Yeah, there was. And then we get a flashback of Brooks, which, by the way, does Brooks get paid for this flashback or does he sign over all of the rights? So Brooks, we get a scene with Shannon Bedore and David Bedore and Brooks and Vicky. And it's like hide the kids when you watch this because they talk about banging. They talk about that Brooks had banged Vicky that day, and oh man, I just turned white as a ghost. So Vicky's like, no, it was the chemistry, it wasn't the sex. And Brandy says, down low, I think Vicky is a freak. Brooks is a bad guy, but he gave her the D. And for everybody that doesn't know what that means, it means Dumbo. No, it means dick. He gave her the dick. And then Phaedra goes, was it good looking? And Brandy goes, no, Brooks was not attractive. No. Phaedra in a talking head goes, this is the first time everyone's on the same accord and having a meaningful conversation. We're not full. It's not a dream. And Dorinda says, okay, let's go back to Bluestone Manor and go to the pool. Everybody is genuinely smiling. We're back at the house. Eva's in a red swimsuit with a hat, like a white chapeau. She looks hot. Vicky and Tamara, they're in bed. They both have their laptops on their laps, which I think there was a joke made earlier this season where Vicky gets a lot of sexual stimulation from a warm laptop. Jill calls her mom. She's like, hi. It's been a very interesting week here, Gilda. It's been very interesting. We get a flashback to the book cover shoot of the Zarin daughters and the mom, remember? So we see that from a long time ago. And she goes, Mom, Dorinda kind of picked a fight with me and wouldn't let it go. I went into actual shock. I went into shock. And then the mom was like, did she apologize? And she goes, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She didn't apologize. And the mom was like, well, I better not run into her because she will have an extraordinarily bad day, which now I'm like, let's get Jill's mom up to Bluestone Manor. Like, I need to see an extraordinarily bad day. Eva comes out and Taylor and Jill are on the chairs. Marco brings out a rose, a special delivery. And Marco goes, guess who? And Jill's like, did Dorinda send these? And it's like, no, Gary did, her boyfriend. And we get a flashback of Gary. The card, you guys, says, don't let the others get you down, make you feel bad or blue. Your family and friends are here for you always. Love you. And Brandy goes, oh, you finally got your apple back, because he put an apple in there. And an apple, of course, is what they hold at the beginning of Roni. And listen, that is a very sweet gesture. And to think of the apple, what a nice touch, chef's kiss. So Brandy goes, yeah, man, she knows, like, Gary knows her. If you want a BJ, you talk about New York Housewives. BJ, bing, get them where your BJ is buttered. Brandy goes, can I ask you a question? Do you want to be back on your show on Roni? And, or no, sorry, Taylor asked that. And maybe Eva asked that. I'm so sorry, you guys. One of them asked that. The point is, the question was asked, and Brandy goes, yeah, Jill definitely does. And then Jill goes, you know what? The short answer is, I want to be a friend of, the friends of are not the drama storyline, because I love certain girls. And if there were certain girls there, I wouldn't have come on, it wouldn't be worth it. But, like, doing this is just amazing. And she goes, well, you don't have that with Dorinda. And Jill's like, no, but I felt like I came with a clean slate. I did. But today was a good day, wasn't it? Today was a good day. And Brandy says, you guys are glossing over the fact, you got to have some drinks, and you haven't sat and talked it out. You need to talk it out with Dorinda, Jill. And the talking head, Brandy, says, Jill doesn't like conflict. And she feels like if she makes up with Dorinda and Dorinda's on pause, it will bring them both back magically on the show together. And listen, is going to happen. Jill thinks this magical thing is going to happen, that she is going to prove herself on Ultimate Girls Trip. Dorinda's on pause. She sees that everybody always says online that, we got to have Dorinda back. We got to have Dorinda back. What's happening? I look like Bob's Big Boy with this little hair thing happening. But I think Jill thinks, everybody loves Dorinda so much that if I get close to Dorinda and I kind of, kowtow to her and tiptoe around her, that I'll be brought back as well. And I think she's realizing, man, Dorinda has really changed. And is this all really worth it? Is this something worth pursuing? Now, I'm hearing still for Roni Legacy, Jill is definitely being considered. And I mean, maybe I was thinking that this was going to hurt Dorinda in terms of Ultimate Girls Trip, her behavior on it. But maybe if we can get Dorinda out of Bluestone Manor and back into, like, the city, something can happen. Because then all of a sudden you leave open new possibilities. Because if Jill's back, Jill will then try to bond with Ramona and Luann and possibly others and go against Dorinda. So if we do Roni Legacy with that kind of cast, you might have a Dorinda takedown season, which would be super intense. Would anybody be here for that? Do you guys want to see that? So Tamara comes out. Jill is going, what are we wearing tonight, ladies? Taylor's like, yeah, I think we're going to the place where Dorinda used to wait tables, which of course is the Red Lion Inn, famous from Roni. Dorinda comes out and goes, oh my God, it's so beautiful out. Oh, it's so beautiful out here. I love how Dorinda's always admiring her property. It is a stunning property. Dorinda's in this like yellow sundress. Phaedra comes out and she's in this sexy black strappy swimsuit. Eva's smoking again. So Dorinda goes, I heated the pool for these bitches. You ladies got to bask in it. Bask in all the dollars in there, the money in there. And Dorinda goes, but I'm not excited to get into a hot pool. It's disgusting, which is like, Dorinda, damn. She's like, you got to jump into a pool like you jump into life, scared. And I'm like, that is the most intense inspirational phrase I've ever heard. You got to jump into a pool like you jump into life, scared. And with a lot of Alka-Seltzer tablets. Remember, Erica used to heat her pool over at the Girardi Mansion in Pasadena, so that's always a fun little comparison. Listen, a heated pool is cool, but cold pools are great too. Pools are great. Phaedra is just shaking her ass like, hey, how you doing? Eva says, hey, black people do swim. It's white people with weaves that don't swim, Eva says. And we see a shot of Taylor with her feet in the pool. We cut to Tamara saying, look at you, sexy mama. You feeling it? And Vicky says, not yet, but I will. All the ladies now are getting ready for tonight. Dorinda goes, everyone comes to the Berkshires, and I always tell them, you got to go to the Red Lion Inn. I worked there from the ages of 14 to 24. The Red Lion Inn is a home away from home for me. It is a lot of my early adulthood was spent there. Can you imagine? Like, just like that's like a prequel I want to see. Dorinda at the Dorinda at the Red Lion Inn. Like, is she like, did she ever hook up with customers? Did she drink on the job? I want to know this stuff. Jill, you guys, comes out and she is in all black leather. She looks dangerous. She looks like a very caring biker. She's very leather. Eva is in a green dress with a white top hat. Jill notices a lot of people are wearing pink tonight. She's like, oh my God, you guys, it's like when all the girls get the periods together. Everyone's wearing pink. And Tamara says that ship has sailed in regards to having periods. So we cut to Stockbridge, Massachusetts. It's 7:50 a.m. Dorinda goes, here is the famous Red Lion Inn. And everyone's like, oh, it's really cute. And Vicky goes, darling, it's darling. They have a seat on the porch. They're having a drink out there and then going inside. And Dorinda says, I got to tell you something. Fall is coming. I got to tell you something. You can feel it. I want to get to that age and that kind of success where I can go out into the weather and be like, rain's coming. I feel it in my bones. Like that kind of serious of like, I've seen fall come for the last 55 years and it looks like it's coming again. So Dorinda goes, you know what? I know what I'm having, to the waiter. I'm like, yeah, straight vodka. She's like, dirty martini, straight up, well shaken. I'm like, man, God love her. She won't listen. She's not going to temper the Dorinderness for us. She's going to go full bore. She's not like, like, wouldn't you just maybe a water or a seltzer or maybe a little, like something light. She's like, very dirty martini, please. Just inject it into my veins. Eva goes, hey, what is a New England traditional dinner? She says to Dorinda. And Dorinda goes, oh, should I do my thing? Should I do my thing? Hey, my name is Dorinda. I'll be your server tonight at the Red Lion Inn. Where are you coming from? And Eva's like, Los Angeles. And Dorinda goes, oh my God, we are so excited to have you here. Well, tonight we have a heavy cream soup. And Jill's like, I'm so not surprised. Dorinda is a worker when she was 14. I think all of us were workers when we were young. I think that's why we were all successful as women. And then Phaedra, we have a shot of Phaedra going, I got fired from every job I have. We find out from the actual waiter, because Dorinda places an order, and she told everybody that blue cheese was on there. And the guy's like, we don't have blue cheese. It's not here anymore. The drinks are brought out. Brandy says, Vicky, I have a question for you. There has always been rumors on your show that you had a threesome with someone. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. And Brandy goes, oh, no. Phaedra goes, Brandy's delivery is not always appropriate like Uber Eats. So Vicky's like, yeah, my sister and Lori, we had all went skiing and there was a pull-out couch and Lori went off the rails thinking that I had a threesome with my sister. And then we get the clip of, I've never been with multiple partners in my life. And Brandy says, well, that is just not the Vicky I know. I don't imagine Vicky having a threesome. And Tamara says, Vicky is a pervert. She talks about sex all the time. And Dorinda goes, well, I'm not a threesomes girl so much. I don't want the competition. And Phaedra's like, I'm into twosomes. And Jill goes, yeah, threesomes, too much work. Which is just, that really is. It just seems like, man, isn't it hard enough with just the one? And then two, all of a sudden, somebody's going to inevitably be disappointed, and you're like, oh, I'm so, like I gave my best to, it's just, how does that? And by the way, if I'm worried about a threesome, that just means I shouldn't be doing them. I've never done, by the way, no, I love that. I feel like, no, I haven't done it. No, I would never, it's not a situation that I would ever get into. Like, there's never like, what am I at? Like a comic book store or something like that, and like, oh, I happen to pick up two regulars. Like, no, but I would have the same, like, I'm very Jill Zarin. Oh my God, too much work. So somebody says, Red Lion Inn was built in 1773 and we're going to burn it down tonight. Tamara says, everything here is old. It feels like death. And I was like, oh my God, if Dorinda fucking hears you, you're dead. And Vicky says, who do you have to know to whoop it up around here? And they all go, Vicky, Vicky. And Taylor goes, Vicky is back. And Vicky says, yeah, all right. It's a little stuffy in here. Dorinda goes, it's not stuffy. Don't say that. Like Dorinda immediately gets offended. Like you're talking about something because she has such good memories of Red Lion Inn. You can never say anything bad about Red Lion Inn. So 8:30 p.m. pops up on the screen, and Vicky says, "No, it's gorgeous here at the Red Lion Inn. Don't take it offensively. I don't. She goes, I just want to whoop it up. I want to turn it up. I want to turn it up." And then she goes, "If I have to lead the fun bus, I'm the driver. Get in. Let's have fun." And Dorinda orders another dirty martini, gets one again, and I'm like, this is just such a mistake. I wonder if the producer and the cameraman roll their eyes when they see Dorinda get another drink, or kind of like, be ready, camera B, be ready. Dorinda goes, we're all here. We're reality stars, or ex-reality stars, I guess. What is one of the moments that you were disappointed with what came of it? And Dorinda goes, for me, and I was like, here we go. It was being put on pause, And I said, Andy said, do you want to know why? And I said, Andy, it doesn't change the outcome. I don't want to know why. I'm dedicated. I'm in it. When I'm shooting, I'm exhausted. I can't even take a nap. And Jill goes, really? Dorinda is notoriously known for taking a nap and being cranky. That's in a talking head. But I love, once again, we got Daniel Day-Lewis, Dorinda, where she is just like, I am in it. I know my value. I know my worth. She's so intense about it. And Vicky says, well, I always take a nap. I'm ancient. I always take a nap. Everybody takes a nap. We cut to Dorinda saying, no, my nap is for refueling. Hers is for avoiding Vicky's. And Dorinda goes, you know what, ladies, I'm going to sleep on Saturday. Until then, I'm going to, rock it till the wheels come off, she says. Vicky says, well, really 8 days, that's how long this took to film. 8 days is a long time. And then Dorinda just drunkenly goes, well, why did you sign up? And Ava says, do you want to be here, Vicky? Which is like, she's like, of course I do. No, I do. It's just, Vicky says, I'm excited just to see my grandsons again on Saturday. She goes, no, I'm good. I'm just not used to 8 days with women. And Dorinda then goes deeper and goes, you know what? You seem depressed. You know what? Don't be a victim. You play a victim all the time. And Vicky goes, I'm a positive bitch. First things you say I'm depressed. I mean, come on. And then she's like, yeah, Vicky, you are, but you went to urgent care. You got a steroid shot. You didn't have a gunshot wound, Dorinda says. And Tamara goes, well, you took your nap and now Vicky's fun. And Vicky's like, yeah, I just hit a wall. And Dorinda says, you're a little slow to warm up. We need to be persistent and really push you and know you. And Vicky says, don't talk about me that way. Don't. And Ava says, I understand how Dorinda is talking. This is her home. And that if somebody's not making an effort, she gets depressed about it. And everybody's like, turn it up. And Phaedra says, in defense of Vicky, she is whooping it up, but not woo, 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 just kind of woo. And Tamara says, well, what happened with you and Jill? And Dorinda says, well, I was trying to protect Eva, and Jill just kept on going last night. She just did. And Dorinda goes, the woman, the dancer woman, the burlesque woman, I brought her all the way from Queens to strip for you. And we just had the most beautiful night. I love that. I brought a stripper from Queens, and it was a gorgeous night. And Eva goes, this is about something bigger with you two. And Dorinda says, yeah, when you came to film, at the Halloween thing, the producer said that you were like, bummed that I wouldn't film with you and blah, blah, blah. And Jill says, I think you were drinking a lot that night back then, with Ramona. We get a flashback to that Halloween costume party, and we see Jill there. Dorinda's like, no, I was not drinking. And Jill's like, watch the episode. And she goes, I didn't drink that night. Of course, we always forget these things are on film, and we get a flashback to Dorinda saying, can I get another drink? Let me get another drink, And yeah, then Dorinda points a finger at Jill, and Jill's like, don't put your finger at me. Yeah, don't put your finger at me, don't do that. And Jill's like, And Dorinda's like, I'm on a show that you were no longer in at that point. And then Jill goes, well, maybe there's a reason you're not on it anymore. And Dorinda goes, I'm on pause. And Jill goes, sure you are. And then Dorinda goes, thirsty. And Jill goes, don't call me thirsty, honey. This is great dialogue. In a talking head, Jill goes, I haven't been with Dorinda a lot over the years, and she just self-destructs when she drinks. I don't drink, so I don't self-destruct. I got to tell you, Jill is right. I do think Dorinda, she's her own worst enemy. And then Dorinda takes it further. He goes, you ruined the whole night for all of us last night. It was a beautiful night. We should have turned it up and have fun, but you were hysterical over what? Histrionics. And Jill goes, I don't have to defend myself. You know, you're trying to make me feel bad about feeling bad. And oh my God, you're the hostess with the mostest. Oh, you're just jealous. Dorinda's like, jealous? And Brandy says, well, you came into Phaedra's room and dropped the bomb about Bobby's funeral. And Dorinda goes, well, I said the day after Bobby's funeral, you talked about Gary. And Jill's like, no, I didn't. I didn't talk to you on that day. We were filming and working because, and Dorinda's like, yeah, you did. We were filming and working because you made us film that day. We get a flashback to that scene, that beautiful scene of Bethany and Jill crying, you know, and the cameras were there. And Tamara goes, no. There's no way. You have to get a release sign to film. So what is the truth? Because Jill's saying she didn't give permission to shoot. And by the way, I cut this out of my interview with Jill Zarin. She had asked me to cut this out. It was before Girls Trip, where she said she did not give Bethany permission. That Bethany, the cameras were just there. And I was like, no way. But she had me cut that. So I still have that audio. And Eva says, well, I kind of want to know a little bit more about this, but I kind of don't. And so Jill's like, yeah, I didn't know Bethany was mic'd. And that is the truth. And then she's like, why don't you call her right now? Why don't you call the producer? Call Andy Cohen, ask. And Andy, we go to a flashback of the reunion, says, we were invited by Jill because she wanted to film it. And Dorinda says, yeah, I didn't want it to be filmed at a funeral for Bobby. It was morbid. She says that at the reunion. So now we're at a producer talking head, and the producer asks Jill, you know, it says that we were invited according to the emails. And Jill goes, do you have those emails from me? Do you have those? No. And they're like, no, it's from your assistant. He's not my assistant. No. Don't you think it was odd I wasn't CC'd on it? Huh? And then Jill goes, well, outside, I would outside's okay to film, but never inside, never inside. So who knows this story? And also I love throwing this assistant, non-assistant under the bus. And I'm like, come on, show us the emails, give us supplemental materials. Tamara says, guys, you both lost someone. And Brandy goes, this is about the show though. This is about the show. And and then Jill all of a sudden goes, you know what? I don't want to fight with let's not fight with each other. I offended you. It's your house. I'm a guest in your house. I'm sorry. And Brandy goes, growth is happening. Yay. And Dorinda gets up and hugs Jill and kisses her. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. We were just tearing each other's throats. And then Jill just gave up. And Dorinda's like, okay. And Jill goes, I'll apologize. I'll get naked. I'll spin around like a top, anything to end this so we can have a fun time, she says in a talking head, which, by the way, I'll apologize. I'll get naked. I'll spin around like a top. Sounds like you have had threesomes. Taylor leans over to Brandy at this moment, weirdest moment of the show. And she goes, I want to clear one thing up. Season 2 of Beverly Hills, something happened. And I was like, oh my God, we're going back to season 2. Because something happened. Do you regret that you outed Adrienne Maloof talking about her surrogate when she had not told or wasn't prepared to tell her kids that they were birthed by a surrogate? We cut to Kim back in the day talking to Adrienne and Paul Nassif in that scene. And Taylor goes, that was unforgivable. It's not Brandy's place. And she does that all the time. And Taylor's like, doesn't that feel like that? Is that your job to tell everyone? And Brandy is like, whoa. And Tamara says, that is none of your business, Taylor. In a talking head, she says, God, she doesn't need to say it to their face. And Taylor keeps going. She's like, you outed them. Another one, she had her children. And Eva says, yeah, but did she know she outed her? And Taylor's like, she knew. And Jill says, please don't raise your voice. Taylor is drinking too much. She can't hold her liquor either. And then in a flashback, we hear Taylor talking about this earlier to these ladies and saying she weaponized the surrogate, Brandy. She did. She found out about it this one time, and she'll find stuff about people and she'll weaponize it against them, because that's what Taylor feels Brandy is at heart. And Vicky goes, the past is the past. You can't go back and forth. Let's, we could go back and forth with what me and Tamara have done to each other, but you can't live in the past. You got to move forward. I agree with Vicky on that. And Brandy says, you're on a reality show. You share a lot of shit. Me and Adrian are close now. In a talking head, Brandy goes, we text now. We're fine. Taylor, who honestly at this point, I forgot she was there, is coming after me for a TV moment. And Taylor says, you know what? This is pent up and it's coming out one way or the other in a talking head. And she's like, maybe I need to throw a martini on it and maybe she'll hear clearer. And then Taylor goes, you just come on to stir the pot with a cinnamon stick, and I'm a successful pot of water. And he was like, what's an unsuccessful pot of water? Some people don't have the gift of gab, they just don't have the gift of gab. And then Taylor continues. She's like, you jumped from the top of the building into a beautifully constructed, successful pool show. He's like, and we were all trying to protect one another and you just jumped in. And Brandy literally is like, like kind of that laugh when you're embarrassed for somebody. And Brandy is not shit-faced yet. And then Brandy goes, Taylor goes, if I jump across this table, it will not be good for you. And everyone's like, no. And Evie says, I have a heavy boot on. You stop. And Taylor's like, I'm not going to let Brandy sweet talk me. No, it's not going to work this time. No. And Taylor says, my show, we're the only one who ever won an award for reality television. And Brandy says, what? You just like Jill and Dorinda. You're thirsty. And Dorinda says, well, you back that up right now. No. You go on every show you can be on, Brandy. You show up whenever for a one night stand. So don't do that to me. You ever notice when Dorinda gets mad, her go-to with being drunk is like, you're a fucking slut. You open those legs, trash box. Brandy says, I'm more popular than you are. Or no, Dorinda goes, I'm more popular than you are. And Taylor says, you're making fun of Beverly Hills and you're saying it wasn't successful, Brandy. And she's like, were you successful? It was your husband, Taylor. And everyone will go, Brandy, whoa, that's too low. You went way too low. And Dorinda goes, you're weaponizing death. Brandy. Don't do that, And Phaedra goes, anyone throws a rock at Brandy, you get 5 bullets back. And Eva says, I need a second. I can't be around this. It's just disgusting. And Brandy goes, you hit me, I'll hit you harder. And Vicky's screaming, take it back. Just take it back. And Dorinda's like, why did you say that, Brandy? Dorinda says, death is in play now. And so Dorinda goes, about your own actions, you need to shut the fuck up and listen for once. Listen to your own words. Shut the fuck up to Brandy. And Brandy goes, I'm going to walk away. And I was like, that is huge for her to walk away. It truly is a big moment. And she said, this isn't helping. This is not helping. I'm trying to help you, but this isn't helping. They go into the other room. Phaedra follows her. They're having a drink or trying to get a drink, and they're just all standing around her, the two ladies around Brandy. And Jill says, Brandy's a low blow girl, but why bring up old shit? Taylor, you gotta let it go. And I was like, okay, Jill, haven't you just done, you bring up old shit all the time, whatever. Rules don't apply to any of these people. And Phaedra says, Brandy's showing a little restraint, leaving the room without pouncing on Taylor. And Phaedra and Jill are with her out there. And Brandy's like, I've never said a bad word about the girl at all. I've never said a bad word. And Jill says, Taylor was trying to make it like she was better than you. We cut to Tamara in the other room saying, did she say that about Adrian? Maybe it's a beef just between Adrian and Brandy then. We cut to Brandy being asked by Jill. She's going, would you take it back? Would you take back that thing you said to Adrian? And Brandy goes, no, I wouldn't take it back. And she goes, I'm so sick of being the bad guy for people who have no problem with me, really. Come on. I'm just sick of it. And then we cut to Taylor saying, I don't have the anger to go after someone's child like Brandy does. And Tamara says, yeah, but they're friends now. Then we cut to Eva coming to Brandy. And she goes, listen, girl, I don't do the negative shit. And Phaedra goes, come on, we're wealthy women arguing about someone telling secrets to someone. Come on, this is foolishness. And they're all going back into the dinner. And they're all talking about the cushion, or like Dorinda's like, the cushion's on my butt. It's too hard. All coming back, sitting down at the table. And Taylor says, I think it speaks anthologies who she is in regards to Brandy. And Jill says, people change. And Tamara says, well, she's friends with Adrian, so maybe she did apologize. Dorinda says, don't ever do that, Brandy. Don't ever do that with the husbands. I love you very much. But what if I were to tell you, what if your son died? What if your son died, Brandy? And Brandy's like, wow. And Eva says, Dorinda, what the hell? You're a mom. So all of a sudden, we thought things were calming down, and Dorinda ramps it right back up. And Tamara goes, no. You don't talk about the children and death. You don't put that. It's not, no, that is off limits. And Jill says, oh, it's bad karma. It's bad karma. Don't say this. Brandy in a talking head says, what are you doing, Dorinda? This isn't your fight. How fucking dare you? And she pops her knuckles. And Brandy then goes to Dorinda, don't fucking talk about my children. She's like, and she's like, you just did, Dorinda. And Brandy is trying to calm herself. And then Dorinda goes, my husband died. And Brandy just walks away. And Dorinda goes, I'm sorry about that. Brandy walks right up to the bar and she goes, are you fucking kidding me? Give me a vodka now, to the guy behind the bar. Jill comes out and goes, you know what, Brandy, that's the alcohol. It's what happens when she drinks. Two wrongs don't make a right. They don't. And Phaedra then comes back out to Brandy and Jill. And Phaedra goes, come on, Brandy, she's old enough to be your mama. You can't do that. And then Brandy goes, are you kidding me? She's only 5 years older than me. And they all crack up, including the bartender behind in a mask. And you can see that mask laugh, like, and then Brandy's like, bitch, get out of my face. God, get out of my face. And then we cut to Dorinda going, you talk about death, and goes right up to Brandy. And Brandy has to get pulled out because she's like, girl, you do not want this. Dorinda is fully out of control. She's like on all levels. And Brandy's like, you are fucking with the wrong bitch. And Eva says, this is crazy shit. At Dorinda's old work job, she'll never get a job here again. So 4 of the ladies go home and 4 of the ladies stay. And Tamara says, can we just have one good night? And Vicky says, this isn't the Berkshires, it's the Berserkshires. And Tamara is talking to Dorinda, and Vicky goes, whoop it up. And Eva's like, damn. And that's it, you guys. It was a wild episode. It got a little messy in my telling of it because so much was happening, but it's a mess. And I'm scared where we're going to go in this next episode, because we're going to pick up right at this place. So how do we mend fences? Knowing Dorinda, the next morning she'll be like up and like, woo, I made banana bread. Anyways, Patreon listeners, thank you so much, baddies. I really appreciate you being here all the time. I guess we got 2 more episodes of this and then we're done and we'll move on to something else. But this has been really exciting and really fun. And I truly love these ladies. So I'll talk to you guys next time. And thank you so much for being here. Bye.